Good morning, afternoon, good evening, whatever your time zone is. And if you are a day person or an evening person, how are you guys doing today? You guys doing all right? We've got Mistaken Reaper. What's up? Critical Cripple, Michael Roble, Nether. How you guys doing? Streaming on multiple platforms, but that's all right. So, it has been crazy. It has been absolutely crazy. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about today. I have been finding all kinds of really, really wrong information. Your GMT +1. All right. GMT is 6 hours ahead of me. So you're 7 hours ahead of me, Nether. So, what, 10 to 11, 11, 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. So it's like 5 p.m. there right now. Just chilling. That's good. That's good. So, how's everybody doing? It's been kind of nutty with a lot of the information that's been coming out about COVID-19. I will have you know the original title of this, if you notice on YouTube, I had to change the title to pandemic. I typed in coronavirus. Hey, native atheist, how are you? So I typed in coronavirus as my title on YouTube, and then they automatically demonetized my video before I even live streamed. Just so you guys know. Hey, Donna Tingle, how you doing? So it's pretty frustrating. Now, fortunately, I do want to say all of this. Fortunately, I do not rely on this as my main job. And so I've had, just for my patrons out there, if you guys need to shut off financial support of me for a while, that doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I do have operating costs associated with what I do here, but I don't do this for the money. And so I'm very grateful that there are people who are willing to help me pay for a lot of these operating costs. But it's okay, guys. I do have a day job. So I've had some people message me, I can't support you right now because of this. And I'm like, hey, it's okay. That's all right. That doesn't, please don't feel badly if you have to. I'm going to keep people's names on my Patreon video, you know, particularly for the people who have been longtime supporters. I'm not going to erase their names. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you have to withdraw support right now. And if there are other creators who rely on this for their income, if this was supplemental to their jobs, maybe they had a part-time job and now they don't have that anymore. Please, I'm not going to have my feelings hurt if you feel like you need to help support other people. If you're able to do that, do that. So I do want to put that out there for people. Please don't ever feel badly for withdrawing support from me, particularly during now. And if you want to funnel those particular funds towards people who do rely on this as a bit of a living. So there we go. Teaching you today. I thought I could talk about what's going on with the current stuff. There are some things that are kind of ticking me off a little bit. I try not to get, most of the time I'm not very like a super angry, ragey person. And usually when I'm mad, it doesn't come out that way. I'm like a silent smolderer type of angry. And I'm just like, okay. But it's very few things get me angry. And most of the time, really all that anger is really just more pity for another person than anything else. The only time I get angry is if other people are being hurt by something. So what I thought I could talk about today, there are really cool science news things, so it's not all going to be, it's the end of the world and everything is awful. So what I'm trying to do with navigating this, because I'll be honest, my day job, because of the stuff that I've got going on, my day job has taken up a whole lot of my time. And that's not bad. I'm doing very good, rewarding work. I'm still working with Taste of Science, which is a nonprofit organization that's nationwide. So, guys, this is the first time they're doing this. Let me just say a little bit of this. So, even though I haven't been like super heavy active on here, I'm still trying to stream every weekend. I have been doing a lot of outreach with the Taste of Science organization. A couple Sundays ago, I met with the entire country's worth of people, like leaders from each division across the US, to teach them how to live stream. So, normally, Taste of Science is individual cities, and then they have scientists within the city go out to local pubs, restaurants, cafes, and give a talk. It's kind of like a home court thing to where it makes science more accessible in a fun kind of atmosphere. But since COVID 19 has hit, they're having to move everything digitally online. So that kind of pushed me to the forefront with this particular organization, and I'm happy to do it. So now we are having our festival online now across the country. So all of these cities are coming together to have, like, for the month of April, lots of different live streams associated with experts all over the country. And so I've been able to sit with all of these people in a Zoom call and teach them how to stream and show them how to put stuff together and give them their options. And, and it was very well received. So even though, that was part of my goals with a lot of the science communication stuff, was to be able to make it nationwide. So me collaborating with the Taste of Science people, joining their organization, and helping them expand to an online forum is absolutely amazing. So I've been doing a lot of that in addition to my job, which is in academia. And by the way, guys, COVID-19 is going to change how people teach at universities now. And in my job, I get to be a part of that pioneering towards that. So it's an upsetting time, it's a stressful time, but it's an exciting time too. So we're going to get to see new technologies kind of emerge from this that will probably make science even more accessible to people in more remote areas where you don't have traditional college or a university there. But there's also going to be challenges associated with people needing internet access and access to technology. So that's going to be like a new gatekeeper kind of thing that we'll have to try to overcome. But I get to be a part of that to try to help solve those problems. So it's exciting, it's upsetting, it's equal measure of lots of different feelings, but guys, we're going to be okay. So I kind of want to get that out there. We're going to be okay. And it's, we're going to see STEM academia change forever. And academia in general is probably going to change forever because of this. That may or may not be a good thing. I think it'll be a good thing, though. Adapt, evolve, or die, right? That's kind of how we go. So, all right. Let's have a look. This is kind of what I had in mind for today, was to kind of talk about news updates. So this is an image of COVID-19 from the CDC. You've probably seen it all over the place. It's in a lot of newspapers. They'll have it in articles all over the web. So this nasty little bugger, it's like a hot pocket of RNA and disaster. So let's talk about a few things associated with that. What I kind of want to discuss a bit. There's a lot of misconceptions associated with coronavirus. Here's some things here. There's a new thing that's running around about blood type in COVID-19. Okay. Frank from the Geek Room messaged me actually this morning, and he's like, I want to know about this. It's like, is this true? And I'm just, and so I like getting questions like that because I hadn't heard this yet. Blood type and COVID-19. Well, that is based on a study that's not peer reviewed yet. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. blood type and COVID-19. So I did a quick Google search to try to find and get down to the bottom of what's going on there. Hey, Mr. Shadow Kitty, you just popped in. How are you doing? So I found something. I'm trying to see. I want to say, well, I'll be here when this is over. Yes. Yes, I kind of. Well, okay. So here is something from Science Alert. All right. Some blood types may be slightly more susceptible to COVID-19. Okay. Some. But when you look at the data, and first of all, I have to say that this particular paper has not been peer reviewed. It's not been peer reviewed, so that's a big thing. The problem I have with posting papers like this prior to peer review is because often when you subject a paper to peer review, they go through and they pick it apart. They look at all of the different tests that you ran, the experiments that you did. So you'll have experts in the field go through and look at your methods. And then they'll ask questions saying, well, how do you know it's this thing and not this other thing? Sometimes there are not mistakes, but oversights that a scientist might actually not think about when they're looking at a paper. This is why you have to have lots of different eyes on a particular thing. This is why it's really important to collaborate with multiple scientists and have them look at it and weigh in on it, because our brains are fantastic at finding patterns in everything. That's what we do. We're born to recognize faces. And so we see faces in things because we're kind of hardwired for that. So it's really important that we have multiple minds and multiple eyes on a set of data to validate, yes, this is what this thing says. So that's why I have problems with this, because people are going to read this and go, oh my God, I'm blood type this. This means I'm going to get the Rona. And you're like, no, hold on a second. That's not how any of this works. But so trying to undo stuff that is a panic response is really, really difficult. If somebody's really genuinely afraid that they're going to get a thing, they're less likely to listen to reason. And, they're in fight or flight mode, okay? You have somebody who's fight or flight. It's called anxiety. I have suffered that. It's pretty bad. So, so that's why if I'm starting to think a thing and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to just, chill out. So that's why I have issues with posting articles prior to peer review, because experts haven't gone through this and asked the questions. How do you know it's this thing and not this thing? And so this is kind of like a meta-analysis. So this is what they kind of did. And so one of the things that I like about Science Alert, first things first, this information does not come from a study, but one that has not been yet been peer reviewed and is currently available on this preprint server. Okay. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, yeah. It's kind of nice for people to post their data, but people in journalism will snatch this up, reword it, and then you get a clickbait, headline. If you have this blood type, you are probably more susceptible to coronavirus. That's not what this says at all. So what they did is, this was focused in Wuhan and Shenzhen. So they did, Chinese researchers focused on 2,173 patients, pretty large sample size. And so they went through and they looked at their blood type. And they found, here are the numbers. As per the study, the normal population in Wuhan has a blood type distribution of 31% type A, 24% type B, 9% AB, and 34% type O. Okay? AB is pretty rare anyway. I mean, AB is pretty rare. So from a genetic standpoint, this looks about right. And so Those with the virus, okay, so those with the virus, by comparison, 38% type A, 26% type B, 10% AB, and 25% type O. That's still not that shift, it's not that much of a difference between the population. I mean, it's just, that's, I wouldn't put a lot of weight in that. When you're looking at 31% type A versus 38% type A, so they're like, type A is probably more susceptible. By what margin? I mean, 5% maybe compared to type B. I mean, but then AB got 10%, that's 1% higher than their normal distribution. 25% type O. I mean, but it's just, and then you also have to consider these are just the people that showed symptoms, right? These are just the people that showed symptoms and were hospitalized. There are people who are infected with COVID-19 that don't have any kind of symptoms that they recognize. There's new information coming out about that. So the problem that I have with a study like this is just for the people who were tested, one. Now, given China was on top of their stuff, but that was just the people who were tested who exhibited symptoms, okay? And recognized that there's a problem. There are people that are carrying COVID-19 that have symptoms that are like a light cold or kind of allergies like. They're like, oh, this is my allergies. Right now we're in spring where I live. I've got a dry throat right now. I've had a dry throat for about a week. And I'm like, I'm going to say that this is allergies. I don't have a fever. I don't need to go to the hospital. I don't need to like get involved in utilize resources. That I can manage this. So I'm just not going to go outside. I don't know if it's allergies or I don't know if it's COVID-19. But see, I'm also a person who understands that I can transmit the virus and not have any symptoms, or have symptoms that look like a cold, a light cold, or allergies, which I have almost all the time. So I can't differentiate. So studies like this is a problem. I wouldn't definitively say that COVID-19 is like, you have a certain blood type, you're less likely to get it or you're more likely to. I wouldn't call that at all, because there were people who carry the virus that were never tested and could have been infected. So that's a problem with that particular thing. So I'm like, what in the heck? Oh my gosh. Yes, preprint servers are good for scientists, but bad for the scientific illiterate. You're absolutely right, Nether. So it's like, and humans do suck at understanding odds, especially exponential rates like viral infection. Yes. But, then I saw somebody saying something like, there are car crashes that kill people every month, and it's super high, higher than COVID-19. And I'm sitting there going, car crashes, there's some personal acceptance of responsibility when it comes to car crashes, right? You understand that there's a risk, but you're not actively going out crashing cars. I mean, you're not consistently going out of your way to crash cars. And if you do that enough, they're not contagious. And if you do that enough, they take your license away, right? They take away your license. If you drink and drive, you don't get to drive anymore and you might go to jail. This isn't the same thing. There are regulations in place to limit, car crashes. And we can't speed, we can't run red lights. So, and it just, now, with that said, contracting a virus isn't something that people are like, hey, but some people are. I'm going to get to that in a second. Some people are absolutely not worried whatsoever about contracting this virus. It makes it kind of just, And yeah, you're right. Car crashes are not contagious, Nether. And Michael says the survey may only show what blood type presents the symptoms more readily. Yes, well, possibly. But here's the other thing. People are going to read that, and it's a meta-analysis. So people are going to read that and go like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm blood type this, so I'll be fine." But what if you have family members who are immunocompromised? My sister has AI disease, an autoimmune disease. She's not, they haven't quite sorted out which one it is, but it's enough of a problem. My brother is allergic to eggs, so getting him vaccinated is always a struggle. So it's like you have to find other versions of a vaccine for him. He's allergic to eggs and poultry. It's Thanksgiving is interesting. So, but it's, and my mother's over 60. And so I have to be responsible. So if I am carrying the virus and I'm have allergy like symptoms, like I'm not particularly bothered, this isn't hurting me, and I haven't been tested or anything, because I'm if I were to carry this virus, and if I'm currently carrying it, I'm managing everything just fine. It might be allergies, and so you get a person who has that, and they read a study like this where they're going through and they're like, "Oh, okay, it's blood type, it's blood type." They won't go through and take the extra precautions. And that's the problem. They get this false sense of, "Oh, I don't have to worry about washing my hands as much because I have this blood type and I'm going to be fine." They think about it in the self tunnel vision kind of way. They don't think about, "Oh, I could get this and carry it and pass it on to somebody else." They don't think about it that way. And so it's like they think, "Oh, I don't have to worry as much. I don't have to wear gloves when I do this, or I don't have to hand sanitize or wash my hands when I go out per se." Because that's kind of how a bit of that works, and it's a problem. It's like a real problem. Yeah, blood cells are not infectable by viruses, no. So antigens are unlikely to affect the virus. Antibodies against other blood types could affect the virus, but that data doesn't support that. Exactly. You also have a lack a bit of the general population having that fundamental understanding. Um, and so it would have to be something incidental with the blood type, if at all. No, you're right. And so, but people have picked this up and are running with it. And they're like, "Oh my gosh." And so that's why I appreciate people who message me who are like, "Is this a thing?" And I'm like, "Probably not. But here's what I would say. I wouldn't base it on that. That might be an interesting thing to spark more interest in research. Hey, what is the thing here? This might be an interesting, thing to kind of look at." But I don't think that would be a thing. I mean, so ah it's pretty, that's just how it is, but that's okay. Y'all like my zombie mug? We are in an apocalypse. I thought I would have cooler clothes than this, but that's okay. Anyway, so I want to look at. I've posted something. I'm going to pull this up, and this is on my Twitter. This is something that can get people killed. So let's talk a little bit about how states, and I don't often get political. I don't often get political on my show, but oftentimes politics play a role in science. It can direct the course of research. It can also, cause things to get worse, like a pandemic. So let's see. Let me pull up this video that I found. All right, so I'm going to share this with you. This is scary to me because I'm a mutual compromise. I can't get vaccines or anything, so it sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mistaken Reaper. And Mr. Shadow Kitty says there was a book published by some doctor a few years back claiming there is a connection to diet and blood type. It lacked peer review and double-blind studies. Many people still bought it. Yes. I actually have, before I got educated, I actually have a Dr. Oz book. I should go through and read that. I should have an entire series about everything that's wrong with that book. It's called You, the Owner's Manual. I have that book. My mother told me I need to buy it. So I bought it a long time ago before I got my degrees. And so, I should do a book review of that. You, the Owner's Manual. But we all know Dr. Oz is messed up. At least I do. Okay, so I want to show you this video. I posted this, I found this video on Twitter. This is how people get killed. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So 14 states are exempting religious gatherings. Now, there are a lot of churches that have fallen ill because of COVID-19, including the deaths of pastors, as well as deaths of choir members. This is a hotbed for transmission because, when you think about church, a lot of people go there, they go there for community support, particularly in the South, when this country was being settled, the churches were like community centers. And that's where people bonded, where they grew together. You eat together, you talk with one another, you lean on each other, you go to people's houses and you help them when they're sick. A whole lot of that is super infectious because you're touching each other, you're patting each other on the back, you visit each other in the hospital, you bring them food, you cook in their kitchen. It's a whole lot of fellowship, which in normal circumstances isn't a problem. But when you have a pandemic and you don't know if you're carrying a virus or not, and you have elderly or immunocompromised people going to church, that could be a death sentence for them for anything with COVID comorbidities. So people who have severe symptoms and are dying are elderly folks and people who have other underlying conditions. And some of these people don't even know that they have an underlying condition. So we're seeing this in young people. So it's just like, this is going to get people killed. So let's have a look at a little bit of this and see what we think.
Driving out of this Ohio parking lot is a woman who just attended a church service with dozens of other people, including children.
Okay, we can't hear that. So, let me turn this up and start again.
Driving out of this Ohio parking lot is a woman who just attended a church service with dozens of other people, including children.
Can I ask you about your decision to go to church, to be inside that building?
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Aren't you concerned you could infect other people if you get sick inside?
No.
People who don't go to this
No.
church.
I'm covered in Jesus' blood. I'm covered in Jesus'
But
blood.
what about other people who don't go to this church who you might encounter?
All of these people go to this church.
No, but you're going to be in places where other people
I go to the grocery store every day. I'm in Walmart,
What?
Home Depot, all of those
But you
people.
could get them sick from what happens in
They
the
could
church.
get me sick, but they're not because I'm covered in his blood. Thank you very much.
Okay, so here's the issue with this. Yes, people go to the grocery store. People also go to other stores. But the kind of interaction that you have at a grocery store is usually not the same as what you would do at church. You're not packed in close together, sitting side by side, giving each other hugs, laying hands on one another, drinking out of the same cup if you're doing a communion service. Even churches, including the Catholic Church, have removed holy water because of the fact that COVID-19 can be transmitted in droplets. That's just like the flu. So they're not taking into consideration that the human interaction is completely different in a store versus, I don't go to a grocery store and walk up and hug everybody. And there are some people who are like that, particularly in very small towns. Hey, how you doing? But you don't really, you have the foresight of saying, maybe I shouldn't hug people at the grocery store. That's not the case at a church. And when you've got a large church, and this particular church is pretty big, you're packing in lots of people. So it is a hotbed for this virus. All right, let me catch up on some of the chat. Let's see. Please debunk that series. I will do, Suge. Thank you. They might as well just rescind the stay-at-home order altogether Any contact between people lessens the effect of shelter in place exponentially. 10% ignore, it's not 1/10 less effective, but 50%, you're right, Nether, it is up to 50% less effective. You got it. Covered in any bodily fluid is unhygienic unless everyone involved is fluid bonded. Yes, and has the appropriate paperwork to show that there's no viruses there. But that's the problem. So this false equivalency of going to the grocery store, it's not the same, guys. So I respect people in their need to have that communion and that fellowship with others, and I get that. I'm still in the South. I grew up here. So I understand a lot of that mentality. And a lot of people rely on that to their connections with other humans. And that is a need to a degree, but it's not the same as going to the store or to Walmart. You might say hi to somebody that you see at the grocery store, but in this climate, I don't see people hugging each other at the grocery store. I don't see people hugging each other like this, not like you would at church. So let's look a bit further and see what they have to say.
90 minutes earlier, we watched as people arrived at this evangelical congregation, the Solid Rock Church in Cincinnati. This couple about to walk in with a toddler and a baby. And then there is this woman and man arriving. The woman hugs the man. That same man hugs a woman inside. The arriving woman hugs the man inside. And then she hugs a woman. Church leaders would not talk to us on camera, but have posted this statement, which implicitly refers to the pandemic and adds, for that reason, we believe that the doors of Solid Rock Church should remain open.
The church says it practices social distancing inside, but the pastors would not allow us in, so we have no way of confirming that. Either way, it doesn't address the potential dangers of large gatherings. What if one person is infected? You're all in that building together.
Thank you, Suge. Thank you for that super chat. Good info. Have a great weekend. You too. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Hello. Hey, being mindful. All right. Don't forget, I haven't forgotten about, by the way, I saw people looking at points. I haven't forgotten about my 3 top viewers. I might extend that a little bit for a few more weeks because I didn't have a couple of live streams in March. So let's extend this to the middle of April. Top 3 viewers are going to get a free t-shirt through the points on Streamlabs because I saw people looking at points. So I haven't forgotten. I'm still going to do that. I'm just letting you know. Okay, carrying on. Back a little bit.
The blood of Jesus cures every disease. Psalms 91, read it.
Miss, you could get somebody else sick if you get sick inside.
Well, what if you got it? You could get me sick.
What if you get others sick, though, who don't go to this church?
There's not one person sick.
How do you know?
Because I know I'm the pastor.
But how do you know?
Because I would hear about it if somebody was sick.
Well, you could be asymptomatic, sir.
You better not print no fake news about me, or you'll hear from me.
No fake
What we
news.
heard were a lot of people who made up their minds. This man, though, sounded a bit different.
I see both sides of the story.
You do see both sides, though.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
I see both sides.
Well, why not just pray on the internet, pray with your family right now to keep people a little
It's
safer?
called values and liberty. You have the choice as an American.
But if
Okay, this is what it comes down to. People want the decision of whether or not they want the ability to be able to make the choice on whether or not they run the risk. But the thing is, that risk doesn't just affect you. It affects other people. This is why, one example, the non-smoking laws, where you can only smoke outside. There's like a whole lot of states that have adopted this. You cannot smoke inside of a restaurant because of secondhand smoke. Well, if you want to make the choice to smoke, that's fine, but you don't want to cause other people to get the same thing. You know what I mean? You don't want to cause other people. You don't want to force that choice on others. So what we have here is people are saying, I want the choice. I want the ability to be able to do this sort of thing. I get it. You want autonomy, self-autonomy. But when your self-autonomy, your body autonomy, ends up causing other people to possibly die, you don't get to make that choice. And so that's where we have the problem. And by the way, Jesus isn't mentioned in Psalms. I just want to, as an aside, Jesus isn't mentioned in Psalms. He doesn't show up till the New Testament. Former person who went to state on Bible quizzing 3 years in a row. Anyway, just so you know, I do know my Bible. I even won trophies for competitions. So, but Jesus isn't mentioned in Psalms, guys. Not unless you want to just project that on there, but that's okay. Anyway, this said, please stay home. I'm so upset that there are 14 states that have exempted religious meetings. And I get people want that freedom. And that's part of who they are. That is that is a part of who they are. They're like, this helps define who I am as a person. So removing that can cause a lot of issues for individuals, because that's part of, their day-to-day, their even some sort of therapy for them. That's how they connect with others. It's a positive experience for them. But now it's turning into an issue because people are transmitting this thing. You don't have to have symptoms to carry it. So it's just, this is a problem, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. So let me catch up on the chat. So I've noticed that, and I thought I would share. I value safety. I do too. Like I said, I have allergy-like symptoms, but that's pretty much year-round. Sometimes I get the dry throat. I've had a dry throat for about a week or two. I don't think it's COVID-19, but I'm not going to exhaust resources on me might having it. I'm just going to self-isolate for, and I've been doing that for about 3 weeks, so unless I am having respiratory issues, I'm not going to go to the doctor. Other people need access to that. But it's just, people don't think of it that way. Nether says it's only their choice if they stay away from everyone else. Otherwise, they're taking the choice away from others. That's right. In their church, he is, yeah, and that's true. Be mindful. Nether says evangelicals will claim Trump was mentioned in Exodus. It's not like they know their own scriptures. Some people don't. They just believe whatever the church leaders tell them. Well, the pastor is like, I would know if somebody was sick. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. There could be people with mild symptoms who are not going to call you. And not everybody in that church is going to call the pastor and say, I'm sick, if they have a cold. And not everybody is going to feel like they have to tell him that. There's a new case now about a man who had COVID-like symptoms, who actually wanted to be there for his wife while his wife was giving birth to their child. So he hid those symptoms from everybody else, from everyone else. And now the wife and the baby are infected with COVID-19. And he's being looked at for possibly, willfully infecting his own wife and kid as maybe being a criminal thing. So, I mean, people, I think I saw a meme going around. People who have COVID, like some symptoms, and don't tell other people or don't socially distance are the people that get bitten by the zombies and hide the bite from you. We have learned this from Walking Dead, have we not? Don't be that person. So it's just, what do you do with people like that? Okay, so another video I kind of wanted to debunk a bit, because this is, oh my goodness, this lady. Let's kind of go through a bit of this. This is about a 12-minute video, so we're going to kind of go through it. She says she's a nurse at a hospital, okay? Michael says they take the sheep label seriously. Goodness. Be mindful. The problem that I have is that they will go to church so God can save them from it, so they aren't going to say anything. Yes. And it's just, I understand people are scared right now, and some of that fear is quelled by going to church and saying, I'm just going to let God take care of this. And you know, there's comfort in that. And so to say that, you know, I think it's important for us to try to understand the mentality of that. People truly feel better when they pass their problems over to, whether it's God, Allah, Jehovah, Krishna, whoever, you know, pick a deity. If you're going to hand your problems over to that higher power to try to solve that for you, there's a comfort in that. There is, because you have a higher power going, I'm going to take care of you. It's going to be all right. It's like a parent. They call him God the Father, you know. It's like a parent that's looking out for you and is going to help you in your darkest hour. That there's comfort there. So it's important that we recognize that these people are probably scared to some degree, but they're trying really hard to cope with this by going to church. And that's kind of like, that's, you know, so it's important that we recognize that. And so I get really mad about people who are not listening. They're not listening. And I'm like, I feel like they're about to put their hand in a giant fire. And I'm like, this is a huge fire. The whole world is burning. Please stay over here where the fire isn't, and don't transmit the fire. Do the best you can. Just stay here. And they're not listening, like, no, I'm going to be fine. One of the jokes that I heard, and this was a joke, because I grew up out in the churches out here. One of the jokes that they would tell, the pastors would tell, and I find it really interesting that this isn't being said here. It does defeat the purpose of isolation. When I was growing up in the church, they had this joke where there was this guy, you know, the rain was coming, the flood was coming, and this guy was in his house, and people were coming by saying, hey, there's a flood coming. You're going to drown. Get in this car. So this car came by to save him, and he's like, no, God will save me. And then he goes, okay. Then the flood starts coming. He gets on top of his roof, and he's just like, and then it's so high now, this boat comes by, and the boat's like, hey, hop on. The flood is here. It's here. You're going to die. And the guy's like, nope. God will save me. And then, you know, the boat goes by, the helicopter comes along, and he's like, hey, my dude, you're going to drown to death. You're going to die. And the guy is on the roof, and he's like, no. God will save me. And then the guy drowns. He dies. He goes to heaven. And he's like, God, why in the world? You know, I was praying to you. I asked you to save me. And he goes, well, I sent a car, I sent a boat, and I sent a helicopter, and you ignored all of them. You know, so it's like, when you have all of these people telling you how to save your life and how to save the life of others, I mean, for the people who are deeply religious, maybe this is God sending that car, sending that boat, sending that helicopter to save you. And it's like, and this was a joke that was told in lots of different churches where I grew up. I know this, and they still tell this joke out here. But for whatever reason, that's not hitting social media right now. You know, that's not what's being perpetuated. Like these experts, God sending these experts to you to tell you, wash your hands, stay home, it's going to be okay. But that doesn't translate for some reason to that. So it's like, I know what they're being told because I grew up out here. I live in the Bible Belt, deep evangelical land, and there are people that I love and care about very deeply that are part of that. So it's like me trying to say, here's God telling you, this is how you take care of yourself. This is how you're going to live through this. So yes. So I'm not hating on religious people. I'm just saying, guys, I know this is important. Please be careful, you know? Listen to doctors, listen to experts. They're trying to tell you how to live and not how to live your life morally or philosophically. You don't. So that's all I'm trying to say about that. Okay. Please wash your hands. Stay home. I don't want you to die for this reason. Okay. I don't want you to die. I want you to stay home. I don't want you to be sick. I don't want you to have permanent damage in your lungs. I want you to be able to grow old and breathe okay. All right? All right. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, let's have a look at this person who's a nurse. Now, having been and still kind of a person who teaches the future medical professionals of America, I have to say I feel like they've kind of failed with this person. There are programs for nurses. So this is how you get anti-vaxxer nurses. This is how you get nurses who don't understand basic biological processes. It's because they're pushed so quickly through a program in order to complete the bare minimum requirements in order to get into a nursing program or a medical tech program or something like that. They don't have the same education as a medical doctor. Now, there are some liabilities that are associated with nurses, and they still have to have like malpractice insurance, just like medical doctors, but they're not they are put under very strong and like rigorous strain. They are put under a lot of strain in order to try to absorb. It's like an 18-month course. You spend 18 months of prerequisites, and then maybe a little less than that, about maybe 12 months in clinicals. So you're talking about 2.5 years, and you're out working with patients. They don't take like virology. They don't take a lot of chemistry. They don't take a lot of foundational courses. They don't take a whole lot of biology. They don't really do that. They take A&P. They take the bare minimum of what they need in order to work with another human. So I feel for people who have gone through this rigorous strain of a program because they're pumping out people fast because there's a shortage. And so you end up with people like this lady who lacks a basic understanding about biological processes. So let's listen to her a little bit.
Hi guys, hearing crystal clear here, and as a medical professional, and bro, where do I start? Where do I begin? Where do I start? Where do I begin? Where do I start? Where do I
start? Her hair is out of her hairnet. It's not put all the way back up like it should be, to where you can get all kinds of things, bacteria, droplets with virus in it. Her hair is already out, and medical professionals don't do that.
I begin? Where do I start? Number one, not only is the healthcare profession, man, dude, this is bullshit. It's all lies. I'm sorry to tell you. Even the information that you guys are spreading around and that the healthcare field is releasing is lies, okay? It said that the coronavirus can last on a surface for 5 days.
Oh my gosh. Yes, lady nurse person, Crystal North. Okay. It can last on a surface. There are some, and in droplets in aerosol form for, I think it's few hours now. Smaller than about 5 microns. That's about 5 times the size of a human cell. So droplets that tiny that are about 5 times the size of human cells, the virus can survive in that. I don't know what's going on with her face here. I think YouTube might have froze or something. But yes, this is also how the flu is transmitted. This is why you Lysol doorknobs. Sorry, coffee went down the wrong pipe. This is why you Lysol doorknobs. This is why you clean off surfaces, because it can survive. I mean, it can survive in all of those ways.
Number one, it can be killed in 80-degree heat.
No.
Okay? Any virus can be killed with heat
No.
or can be shot in cold.
No.
Okay?
No.
So this whole thing is bupkis. Okay? It's so bupkis. I'm alarmed at what they're allowing. I'm alarmed. That perfect example. If a virus could survive outside of a host for 5 days, why does...
Let me see if I can get her off of the frozen thing there. Let me refresh. She's already taken a lot of buttons with me. Let's see.
Hi guys. In America or in the world have AIDS.
Okay, hold on. Okay, no, she's just frozen.
At what they're allowing. I'm alarmed. That perfect example. If a virus could survive outside of a host for 5 days, why does not everyone in America or in the world have AIDS?
Oh, checkmate, scientists. Oh, no, honey, no. That is not how that works. HIV is a bloodborne disease. See, this is where we have a fundamental lack of understanding of how viruses work. You have airborne viruses, you have droplet and fluid-based viruses, you have bloodborne viruses, you have viruses that can exist in different types of media. So, if 80 degrees was hot enough, we wouldn't need to autoclave anything. We wouldn't need to autoclave anything, right? We wouldn't need that. But it's just, oh my goodness. Hello, Alonzio. How are you? So we wouldn't need to autoclave anything. We wouldn't need any of that. So viruses can exist in droplets, and if they're on a surface, they can withstand and live on that surface and maintain their molecular structure for a while. Now, not forever, but that can also happen with HIV. So you can have HIV as if it stays within some kind of blood form for a while. It'll exist there. This is, I am very sorry, Crystal, that you did not get a solid education in your program. Yes, I mean, not all viruses are equal. You're right. AIDS cannot survive outside of, it has to be in blood. It has to be within blood. And that's, and it's transmitted through fluids. It has a high population in bodily fluids, but it is bloodborne as well. Okay, Crystal, honey. I've actually posted a comment on this video, so maybe she'll get back with me. I don't know. That's not how any of this works at all. But okay, let's keep going.
Okay, say if I lay this down. Say if this was AIDS, and I left it here.
Okay.
There's no way I can come back and pick this up, because heat's gonna kill it, chemicals are gonna kill it, water is gonna kill it, ice is gonna kill it. It's gonna decimate as soon as it hits air. Do you understand me?
That's not how that works at all. That's not how that works at all. If that's the case, why does your hospital disinfect surfaces, Crystal? Yeah, chemicals are going to kill it. That's why we wipe things down, because they can exist for a while on a surface. Water doesn't kill it. The stuff that she's saying is going to get people killed. This kind of stuff here is going to get people killed. I mean, it's just like, oh my God. Nether, educational standards need to be raised in all fields and all age groups. Agreed. Educator here. Science educator. Degrees in that and science. But hey, things that are intro college material now really need to be taught in high school. Agreed. I agree with you there, Nether. Mr. Shadow Kitty says, if it can't survive 80 degrees, it wouldn't survive 98.6 degrees. I know, right? A child can figure that out. Our body temperature is higher than 80 degrees, guys. Water. Yes, I know, Alonzio. Jesus. Man, Be mindful. I know. I'm never going to her hospital. I'm very afraid. I wonder if she's actually in a hospital. I don't know that she's an actual nurse. I think she might be a nursing assistant. I doubt she's a medical tech. I don't think medical techs would have had more knowledge of viruses because they're about withdrawing blood and testing for things. Medical techs, I think, have a stronger knowledge of pathogens and virology than a nursing assistant would. If fish are animals and they can breathe water and humans are animals, why do humans drown? Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Fish take in the dissolved oxygen in water. Wait a minute. Isn't all of her hair supposed to be inside the bonnet? I know, Michael. We made that earlier. Yeah, so, yeah. Oh, gosh. She's a cafeteria worker. Well, she's got the lab coat on. People can put on lab coats and bonnets and say, I'm a medical professional. Man. Okay. Get your AirPods. Oh, boy. I hope she sanitizes that AirPod case because she just set it down on a countertop, and I'm pretty certain. I don't know. It looks like she's in a testing area, so hopefully that's a pretty well cleaned spot.
It is going to decimate. If you apply heat, you will kill it. That's why you're supposed to wash your clothes in hot water. It kills germs. People, this is...
Oh, okay, okay. All right. That right there. Okay. You also add soap. You add soap to your detergent. Okay. This is how that works. Okay. Soap is like kind of an emulsifier. You know how oil and water don't mix? If you just washed your clothes in hot water, you wouldn't kill bacteria, you wouldn't kill viruses, you wouldn't kill any of that. You have to have soap because soap disrupts that lipid layer that encases all of the stuff of the virus and the bacteria. So if you can imagine, they're like big old bubbles made of oil. If you add Dawn dish detergent to that, just plain old soap, it's going to bust that bubble and kill the virus as well as the bacteria. You wash your clothes in hot water, yes, but you also add soap to that, which disrupts that lipid layer that holds all the stuff that makes you sick. The RNA, the proteins, all of the things that are inside that bubble are the things that get injected into your cells and make you ill. They make more copies of the virus. They're all like little RNA things where your little ribosomes will make all the parts for the virus instead of the parts that you need to keep functioning. So sometimes they make whole viruses. Sometimes they make just the parts of the viruses. And finally, when your cell that's infected bursts, brand new viruses come out, just like a whole bunch of viral babies, or the parts come out and the other viruses around put the viruses together. That's how it works. So you need the soap, not just the hot water. Oh my goodness. Okay. Even cafeteria workers know that all that hair goes in the hairnet. I know, man, right? Soaps break down lipids layer. Exactly right, Landon. She cleans a chiropractor's office. Possibly. Guys, don't go to a chiropractor if you have an infection. Don't do that, please. And if you have cancer, don't do that either. There are some really, there's a guy, I think he's in Georgia. I won't go there now.
It's going on too far. This is going on too fucking far, and I'm sick of it. There's no way in the world that the healthcare administration would ever keep letting this keep going on for so long. I mean,
hold up right there. Okay? Hold up right there. That is not true. We knew about this in December, Crystal. Crystal, we knew about this in December. It was ignored. We have all the documents. We have all of the information. And even our administration has admitted that they downplayed it because they didn't want to be a negative person. We dropped the ball on this. I'm in regular contact with friends of mine. One of them's a dear friend of mine, about how this is going to play out. Okay. His entire bread and butter is this stuff. And he and I talk about what's this going to look like. It's going to be bad. If we don't stay home, we can absolutely shift the way this goes, but everybody has to be on board. Otherwise we're just going to prolong the awful. We have to all be on board and just stay home and work through it and not overload our system. We knew about this, Crystal. All of our experts, Dr. Fauci, there was another expert, I forgot his name. He went on Fox News talking about it. We're past the keeping the flood behind the floodgates. It's flooding right now. So right now we're in the let's hope the waters don't rise to where people are on their roofs portion. That's where we're at right now. So there you go. Let's see, catching up on the chat. 121 degrees Celsius water is the only thing that disinfects properly. Yes, and you do that with like an autoclave. I mean, you can't just put it in, you don't just go pouring that on a counter. It's like, and a human body can't withstand 121 degrees Celsius. I mean, it doesn't work. She sells eyeglasses. Maybe. Any minute now, the doctor's going to come in and ask why she has his stuff on. Oh my goodness. Dr. Peter Hotez said that smokers are at an increased risk of COVID-19 because smoking upregulates a receptor in the lungs that the virus more readily accepts. Please stop smoking. Yes, if you can refrain from that, that'll help. Michael Osterholm, I'm reading his Deadliest Enemy now. Hey, Kristen, Frost laser beams. More beer circus stuff, yay. Oh my goodness. I'm worried about Crystal. I don't think she's going to survive this pandemic. Either that or she's going to cause the death of a lot of people by just thinking she runs water over her hands and that's enough. Oh goodness, I get furloughed Monday working until then.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Tell me why. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
If this was the case, we would have diseases from prehistoric days.
Oh, we're
Do you
about
hear
to
me?
get those.
We would have the cold of Adam and Eve.
We're about
we
to
would
get
have the
those.
diseases of Abraham.
Okay. Okay. That's also, she lacks a fundamental understanding of evolution. And by the way, with the global ice caps melting, we're finding new viruses there. So she might get her wish. So it's like, but she'll think, oh, these were always here. Suddenly magically appeared. Oh my goodness. No. She lacks a fundamental understanding of evolution. You get a flu vaccine every year, and or maybe even twice a year for different strains because it's constantly evolving and changing. The receptors on the outside of the virus are just, they adapt and they evolve. Bacteria, same freaking thing. This is why we have antibiotic resistant bacteria, because they adapt to the new drugs. So we can't, oh my gosh. Crystal, I feel like her program let her down. Crystal, I'm going to reach out to you. If you would like, I will help you learn this stuff. I will put together some things and I will help you learn this stuff. I've already got some stuff on my channel that can help you. But I will help you learn these things. And guys, don't be Crystal here. Please don't be Crystal. Go back and watch this. If don't be this person. Adam and Eve, cold. Yes. We have genomes from infectious diseases from the Stone Age. They are closely related to today's strains. Yes, there's portions of it that remain conserved, So we do have a lot of conserved DNA because that's the DNA that keeps it functioning. So yeah, I didn't know Adam and Eve had the flu. They might have had it, yeah. Wouldn't need to be vaccinated if we all wore masks. Just saying, please don't be her. Who's Adam and Eve? Well, in the Bible, that's apparently the first two humans. But okay, here we go.
And it doesn't. It doesn't survive. It doesn't live on.
Yes, it does.
None of that.
It's
None of that. When the Ice Age, all that Darwinism bullshit, when all that melted, guess what melted with it? As soon as the sun hit any virus, disease, I do tell you this, fungus can live on.
How does she think Ebola works? I'm just wondering. This isn't a joke, man. There are people who believe this. There's also people who think 5G networks cause the coronavirus. Michael, I mean, for real, this is a real thing. This woman really believes this. Oh, God. Yeah, and masks don't replace vaccines. Yeah, that's true. And, you know, still, you got airborne stuff. But, you know, even certain masks can't filter out all the shapes. See, this N95 stuff that you're seeing where they have to have N95 masks, these N95 respirators, it's to filter out particles that include very, very small viruses. These little cloth masks that you wear, you know, that's like me going, okay, guys, you know, here's these big giant holes in the fabric for those little viruses to pass right through. So while that might be good if you're just out and about walking through the store or something to try to limit your exposure to droplets, you still are going to have to wash those. It might hold some of those droplets, but airborne viruses, oh no, they'll pass right through. But the droplet ones, the droplets might retain on that mask, but you're still going to have to wash it. Would need eye protection also. Yeah, your eyes are also vulnerable to viruses. People be like, I got on glasses. Not here. Not here. Not underneath. I couldn't wear these in a lab and consider this eye protection. So it's like, oh my goodness. So, oh my goodness, here we go.
Fungus can grow.
Yeah.
Fungus can get inside, grab onto your skin and not let go.
Yes.
Enhance, in turn, creating a ringworm. Okay. You see what I mean? That's the only thing that can latch on and stay. Okay? Fungus can stay. But no. If a virus stayed around like this, everybody in the United States, in the world, would have AIDS, HIV. You would have every viral infection known to man.
No, that's not how any of this works, Crystal. Oh my gosh, that's not how this works at all. Oh God. Okay. I'm going to jump ahead because I don't know if I can take much more of this.
You're not even thinking. You're not even using your head at this point. Nope. And now it's just ridiculous. Now you're just passing around just lies. Lies are being passed around. You with the fucking AIDS. That's how simple it would be. Okay? That's how simple it would be. AIDS would be used as a biochemical warfare. Come on, people. You're not even thinking. You're not even using your head at this point. And now it's just ridiculous. Now you're just passing around just lies. Lies are being passed around.
See, I want to get mad at her because she's perpetuating a lot of really bad information that could get people killed. And a part of me is just like really mad about that. But then a part of me is like, man, I feel sorry for her. I genuinely feel sorry for her. And I feel sorry for her patients, and I'm afraid for her patients right now. It's like I want to get mad, and a part of me is, but it's like she's gonna get people killed. And she's coming from the sense of I'm a medical professional, so you should listen to me and not every other medical professional that has been on the news because I have special knowledge that they don't. It's that special knowledge thing. She's looking for validation that she has special knowledge. Ugh, my nose itches that other people don't. So it's like, oh goodness. I'm going to get to the end of this because I want to talk about some happy things and cool stuff.
Know this. Okay, because right now the media got y'all sharing all kind of lies, bullshit, and it ain't even all that deep.
Yes, it
Think
is.
about it.
Yes, I have,
If
Crystal.
you could let a virus survive outside of the body longer than 5 days, wouldn't the whole world have AIDS?
No, that's not how it works. It's not the same virus, Crystal. But the whole world has this virus now because it can survive outside the body, is extremely infectious, and people who don't present symptoms can carry it. I can make that face too. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. I can't deal with any more of that. I want to talk about some happy news before we wrap up here. Oh, Lord. Um, Crystal, Crystal, Crystal. I can't. If y'all want to check that out, just, oh man, the truth about COVID-19 from a nurse, virus truth. And just so you know, I did actually, because I felt obligated to do so, I posted um, a comment on her on her video. I'll let you guys know if she responds, because I genuinely want to help her, and I don't know if I can. Serious lack of fundamental understanding of biological processes here. I'm very sorry your school failed you in rushing you through your program without having the required knowledge to be a patient advocate and have a working knowledge of important pathogens, viruses. I'm happy to help you bridge that knowledge gap. In the meantime, please stop spreading this incorrect information, as it can cause the death of others. Viruses can and do live on surfaces for extended periods of time. This is one way how the flu is transmitted. COVID-19 is transmitted similarly. Additionally, people who feel absolutely fine can transmit this disease, have so mild symptoms that they seem to be allergy-like, and they don't realize they're infected. Please stop spreading misinformation. So, I will let you guys know if she responds. She probably won't, but that's okay. She doesn't have to. All right, so some really good news about research, just so you guys know. And if you are involved in research, heads up, NSF has a Dear Colleague letter where they are offering funding for people to study COVID-19. So, research graduates, grad students, this sort of thing. Just as a heads up, all right? So here they've got in light of the emergence of the spread of the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, the NSF is accepting proposals to conduct non-medical, non-clinical care research that can be used immediately to explore how to model and understand the spread of COVID-19. And this is to inform and educate about the science of virus transmission and prevention, and to encourage the development of processes and actions to address this global challenge. So they are looking at funding studies associated with viral transmission, particularly with COVID-19. So if you are in any kind of, the word escapes me, epidemiology, there we go. Epidemiology, if you're a part of a task force associated with pandemic response, if you have scientists on that panel, here you go, guys. Some of these grants go up to as much as $200,000 for 1 year of study. So give that a go. It's part of their rapid response research. It's that funding mechanism. So requests for rapid proposals may be for up to $200,000 and up to 1 year in duration. Well-justified proposals that exceed these limits may be entertained. So if they like what you're doing and you're able to generate results pretty quickly, they will keep funding you. That's what they're saying here. So think about it. Give that a go. So if you're part of an organization that's doing research, you can have a look. And there's FAQs associated with that. Why are they doing this? Well, promote the progress of science Part of that is associating things with COVID-19. How do you get involved? They have a link to email. They can't help you access foreign locales, visas, or logistical support, but you can go out there. But keep in mind, if you're going to another country to do research, you could be stuck depending on how that government regulates the COVID virus. So that's going to be a barrier to have to overcome for this research, further research on that, including returning to the U.S. Touchy stuff there. So give that a go, guys. If this is part of your research, give that a go. Now, other cool things. They're moving forward with supercomputer simulations associated with the coronavirus. So this is to kind of help design new drugs and vaccines to combat this. And so right now, they're preparing a massive computer model. So this should give insights on how the virus infects the body. So they're looking at viral infection computer simulations based on different data. Now, I used to work in LPA2 receptor interactions between ligands and receptors with computer modeling. It's a very valuable tool. They'll likely go through, they'll be able to see how it infects the body with different possible scenarios. The most likely scenarios, those will be taken as kind of an outline to kind of study for further research for the wet lab portion, because computer simulations aren't enough. But it's a good starting point to kind of say, okay, this one would not be the most likely scenario. This one wouldn't be the most likely scenario on how the virus infects the body. These three, however, these are the most likely possible scenarios of how this virus infects the body. And then they would go and put resources in that. So computer simulations are pretty good at doing this particular thing. Other cool things, they did physicists test coronavirus particles against temperature and humidity. So Crystal, come back and look at this. They tried different types of surfaces. I think this was with the one the idea is to figure out what makes this virus fall apart, what makes it tick, and what makes it die. So they're going through and they're studying this. This hasn't been published yet. We're making a faithful replica of the virus packaging that holds everything together. And then they say the idea is to figure out what makes this virus fall apart, what makes it tick, and what makes it die. This is not a vaccine. It won't solve the crisis, but will helpfully inform policy decisions going forward. So they're trying to sort out making a replica of the virus so they can kind of figure out better ways to combat it. So this hasn't been published yet, but it's new research that's coming up. They're also doing a new mathematical model to try to sort out and effectively track different epidemics. So this is all important research to help us move forward in being able to have a better response, initial response, not delayed response, in order to handle coronavirus. And so there's good information there. You can always update and check out the CDC information, specific resources if you're a small business, what you can do there. People, are you a pregnant woman with children or children associated with that? There's lots of different resources here to kind of help you. So there's different, so if you're a small business, they have different funding for you to kind of help with loan forgiveness and stuff like that. So do check out the CDC. It isn't just about how to stay healthy, but they also link to resources to help you kind of recoup and cope with this particular pandemic. So let me check up on the chat. Let's see. We got a lot of Nether's going back and forth with Golden Coin about thoughts and stuff. Nether works in a testing place that tests for viruses and stuff. So Nether's a good resource for that. I can't wait for antibody testing. Yeah, I think they're already doing. They're collecting antibodies from patients who recovered from COVID-19. I think they're using that as one of the therapies to try to help people who are currently infected. There are always exceptions to the rule, says Kristen. When us humans get comfortable and we think we won, something comes along and proves us wrong. Is that Murphy's Law? Whatever can go wrong will go wrong? Oh, goodness. So, let's see. We're talking about rabies. Denying virus hosts is very hard work, yes. The only thing that has ever been shown to work is herd immunity, and depending on the virus, it needs different percentages of herd immunity. That's correct. Depending on how infectious it is, too. If it's highly infectious, then you're going to need a whole lot of herd immunity. Could the boomer numbers be elevating the number of deaths with this virus? As fast as boomer populated the planet, won't they also depopulate it just as fast? That's a possibility. The higher risk individuals tend to be elderly, but we're also seeing, but people have had this false equivalence that young people can't get sick and die. We saw this false equivalence early on when HIV started out. People they used to call it GRID, the gay-related immuno disorder. That's what they called it, because it was showing up in that population. But when women and children started getting the virus, they're like, okay, wait, it's not just about gay people. But that was a lot of what was being perpetuated in the media and even in politics. And so we've got to be careful, and we need to listen to the facts. So this isn't just a boomer disease. This kills anybody. And we don't know 100% why people who don't have comorbidities, meaning pre-existing conditions, people with pre-existing conditions, particularly associated with lung and heart issues, they catch coronavirus, the COVID-19, they tend to have very severe symptoms and it could kill them. We see that. We see that with elderly folks because they tend to be immunocompromised. So people who don't have an effective immune system are high risk. But, it's not just a boomer disease. And if older individuals are doing everything they can to reduce their risk of transmission, they're less likely to get it. So it really comes down to who's staying home. It kind of really comes down to that. Who's staying home, who has access to resources, because once the hospitals become overwhelmed, it won't just be about COVID-19. The hospitals will be overwhelmed to where people who get in car accidents, they're going to have to wait to be seen if there's no beds, if there's not enough staff, or people who have heart attacks or strokes, or people who have injuries on the job or fires. It won't be just COVID-19. We're flattening the curve, or trying to, so that hospitals can run as normal, even coping with those accidents or crime-related injuries and stuff like that. That's kind of what the point is. So it's going to be an issue. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up. Couldn't be good for relationships, families, and mental health. Yeah, that's true. And then we also see a rise in domestic violence right now, particularly in New York is reporting a 20% higher rate. I think it was Cuomo was saying that. I need to find the source on that. 20% higher rate of domestic violence from people having to self-isolate. 20% increase in domestic violence. New York corona. Let me look that up. Yep. CNBC.com is reporting this. So let me show that to you. So at least have my sources. So CNBC, New York Coronavirus Domestic Violence Program. Hold on. So the programs see decline in client numbers as coronavirus traps survivors at home. So they're staying home to prevent the outbreak, but we're seeing an increase. I think it was around here about 20%. We need emergency structures to shelter domestic violence people. So this has become a problem too. So this isn't just a virus thing. This is also a mental health thing. This is also a domestic violence issue. It's affecting how we teach. It's affecting how we handle abuse. So it's affecting a lot of people in all kinds of ways that others didn't anticipate. Yeah, imagine the abused women locked in with their abusers. Exactly, Landon. Women, men, and children. So good question. Why don't they start doing antibody tests to know how many people is already over this, says Golden Coin? Because right now they're only able to test people who have symptoms, and we don't know how many people have recovered from it and were asymptomatic. I mean, they didn't test the people who didn't exhibit symptoms in China, for example. If we were to go to China and be like, okay, who all thinks they had it? They would have to test the entire population of people who didn't exhibit symptoms and kind of go through. So they probably have some data associated with that with the people who recovered in China, but you also have really important data in the people who never exhibited symptoms, because we don't know that much about that population. So that would be a good focus of research. And it does take time to work out those tests. Yeah, and probably around, yeah, you're about right, 3 to 6 months. It takes a while. We got to isolate the antibodies too and make certain we get that. Yeah, the cytokine storms that strong immune systems can trigger is worrying too. It makes me second guess boosting my health with supplements and such. Well, I mean, I honestly don't think supplements are going to do that much for this, but eating a good, well-rounded diet is really helpful. Well, we've come up on the end of this, guys. You can find me anywhere on the internet. You can also find me on my website. I need to be writing more. So if you haven't checked out my website, you can go to scientistmel.com. It's down there below. That's a picture of it. You can also just click it in. Here's what my website for evolutionary puzzles. He writes different articles, so do check out his stuff. I also have an audio podcast here. You can also take quizzes. I also have a shop. So if you haven't checked out my shop, give that a go. I've got some things where I'm trying to upload some new designs, but I've had some weirdness with Printful that I'm trying to work out. But I do have a shop where you can check out different, some of these are not live because it's in my, but here we go. So I have some pretty cool stuff here. Taste of Science gear, because I am selling things for Taste of Science for that organization. They can't sell anything, but I can, and I donate the money to science education. So I have different things that I do to help research as well as charities. So you can check that out. I got fun stuff. This is one of my newest. I actually have this t-shirt. Vaccines and viruses. This shouldn't be private. It should be live. Finish them mug. You can check that out. That's pretty fun. But, my little store commercial. But yeah, there you go. Peter, thank you for making that. But I'm going to wrap it up now. You can contact me anywhere. I'm on Twitter. That's probably the best way to get me. You can contact me through my website and email. Twitter is probably the easiest to find me on. Twitter.com/ScientistMel. And so I appreciate you guys being here with me. Let me read from Mr. Rogers and then we'll sign off. Let me see. All right, so here we go. I just opened it. As different as we are from one another, as unique as each one of us is, we are much more the same than we are different. That may be the most essential message of all, as we help our children grow toward being caring, compassionate, and charitable adults. So, that's the world according to Mr. Rogers. We need Mr. Rogers right now. I miss him. Oh, goodness. So, I'll end with this. I will probably be bringing back This Week in BS, but next week I'm going to talk about how these tests work, these viral tests work. So I'll have a slightly different format where we're going through and discussing how these types of viral tests work. So that'll be pretty interesting. So check it out then. I will be bringing back This Week in BS maybe a couple times a month. And I'll say this. You always make each day special for me. You know how? By just your being you. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.